All right, here we are again, 2 nights in a row on this January Sunday, the 16th.
Say Sunday?
No, I said Sunday.
I don't know why.
Maybe I said Sunday. I don't know.
I heard Sunday.
Sunday, January 16th, here with the Ball Hawks podcast. I'm your host, Steve. You can find me on Twitter at FFFither. I don't know. Yeah. Definitely didn't say it, but whatever. Yeah, you guys know where to find me and that jerk guy that I like to apparently podcast with. You don't even get a nickname this week anymore. He's Chris. What's going on?
I am Chris. Thanks for having me, Steve. I don't know why my ears heard Sunday, but they did.
Maybe I'll listen to it later and I'll be like, oh, damn, he was right. I did.
Review the tape.
Review the tape.
Where's our official up top? Where's our video review guy? We need Liam. We need you. Review the tape.
Bring him in here. He's probably still partying from the Bengals win.
Right? Yeah, he's still sending all those text messages, being like, "I can finally text about this.
I can do it.
The internet is a wonderful thing." Did you see the? Thanks guys for tuning in to another episode of the Ball Hawks podcast. You guys can of course find me on Twitter as well at PhillipsChris12. Don't forget the podcast account at ballhawks_pod. And as I was saying there before I so rudely interrupted myself, did you see that the NFL is pulling that officiating crew out of any remaining games?
I did. If you were a supportive podcasting partner, you would know that I had a little write-up today, a little article writing in my free time, and I managed to add that in there because I think that's hilarious. But I mean, the precedence being if you mess up something, you don't get to officiate again. I don't think we're going to have anybody for next weekend, but we'll see who they pull for that next set of games.
Yeah, it's a slap on the wrist. It's not like they're like, you're done, you're out of the league, bud. No, we'll see Jerome Boger and his crew next season. They're just getting to the off season a little earlier this year.
I've seen so much worse too. Like if that's what it takes, you're, like I said, you're probably not going to have very many officiating crews. And obviously if you're a Raiders fan, we talked about this yesterday, you're probably choked about it. If you're a player, you're probably choked about it. But the separation that Boyd had, I think he was catching that anyways. It was a little bit of a blunder, but we've seen way worse calls. I'm thinking of all the ones over the last 10 years against the New Orleans Saints that have catastrophically ended their seasons in the playoffs. We can talk more about that in a little bit. We are obviously presented and hosted on the Dean Blundell Network, so you can find my article writing and Chris's when he gets around to it, and our podcast at deanblundell.com.
I was busy today, Steven.
You were busy.
Although I should have been reading that article, it would have been much more enjoyable.
It was, it was, as I grow a little bit older and I don't take things to heart, the losses and the wins as high and low as I used to. I actually wrote a piece about how the Bengals are an upcoming team and how they, the kids are going to be around for a long time. They're exciting. They're damn good. Like they're a good football team. And if you're saying they're not, you're probably just bitter, and I'm not bitter. Obviously it sucks that they're in the playoffs and they won, but they're a good team, and they're going to be exciting to watch, and who knows, they might take it a little further.
The kids are all right.
Yeah. So before we take it further, we're obviously, my camera works a little shoddy here, but we are both, maybe I'll just hold it up, rocking some of our new gear from our sponsors, Lake Therapy Apparel.
Can you see mine?
I can see yours.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
It's camo. Like it's not. Well, I'm not just blending in.
I see the words on top of you. Oh, God. I thought I was a geek, but you're.
If Steve could throw something through a computer monitor right now, he would.
I mean, I throw out the camo jokes to students all the time, and they give me the reaction that I just gave you. So now I know what it feels like.
Dad jokes for the win.
Being nice, like Sam from Lake Therapy Apparel obviously sent them to me, and I got to decide what I was going to give you and what I was going to keep for myself. And I thought, I've got a lot of camo. Maybe I can bring Chris over to the dark side if I, subtly put a camo hoodie in there. It looks great, by the way, and I think you're a natural hunter. And
you can't see me anymore.
You're just a face, just a floating face with a bad tattoo logo on it. So I also brought this. If you know anything about me, I'm way too warm to wear toques inside. But this was the toque we were referring to yesterday when Chris said, his wife hijacked his and then taunted him on Instagram by saying, like, haha, I've got your toque. They're super comfy. So a little bit about Lake Therapy Apparel. If you guys haven't heard of them, they are local to where Chris and I live here in the Okanagan. They are out of a Soyuz. And the first thing you should know is this gear is super, super comfy. Like the t-shirts, I don't know what yours feels like. Obviously, I didn't put your stuff on. That would be a little weird.
How did it smell funny?
Yeah, it didn't smell that funny. They're super soft. They fit great. I love the cut of them. And if you want some yourself, Chris just put it up there. If you use the code BALLHAWKS, all capitals, when you go to check out your gear, you're going to get 10% off of your entire order. Lake Therapy, their big thing is they're all for sustainable business. They're obviously an up and coming local business, and we're super happy to partner up with them here. And obviously, we want to be supporting local places to where we are. And I just found this out about them. They have floating sunglasses, Chris.
Oh.
Floating sunglasses. So I don't know about you, but every time I'm out on the water or the lake and stuff like that, and Kelowna summers are something to be desired, and you just wear sunglasses all the time, but then you don't even think about it. You jump off the dock, there go your sunglasses, and if you're lucky, it's the shallows and you can dive down there and find them. But what a good idea to have floating sunglasses, because sometimes I'm just not that responsible.
Fun fact, Chris isn't a good swimmer, so Chris doesn't dive off too many docks.
Chris is a sinker.
Yeah, Chris stays in the shallow end because where my feet can touch, because Chris doesn't float. But yeah, I was having a look at their website today, and they've got some really cool sunglasses for the kiddos as well. With they've got the wooden arms and the super bright, like bright pink and bright blue lenses, and I'm definitely gonna order a pair of those for my two little kiddos.
The first person I thought of for those glasses, and I can't remember if they're an adult or just like one size, but Ted Wong, our buddy from the EP1 podcast. He is the king of wearing like the bamboo wooden sides with like the neon on the front. So Ted, if you're watching, you definitely want to go check them out, and you get 10% off your order. Like I said yesterday, I like cool gear. I love this gear. I love the feel of it. I love the vibe you get from it. It's got that, exactly what they're trying to market. I feel like I'm I'm waiting for the spring, summer when I can just chill out by the lake
Yeah.
all the time.
And
It is
like,
my happy place. So I'm glad there's a company out there that, brands their gear to be like that serene, happy place out by the lake, because that's where I live.
yeah, like their website says, I mean, people pay a lot of money to take vacations where we live in, this gorgeous Okanagan, where we're surrounded by lakes, and we get to live in this sanctuary, in this bliss, and get to enjoy these lakes year round, whether it be swimming in the summer, or I know there's some spots that will freeze over, and I know Ted, speaking of Ted, he'll go skating on the frozen lake. So definitely go check out Lake Therapy Apparel at laketherapyapparel.ca and use that code BALLHAWKS for 10% off.
Nice. So we got a comment here already from Glassy. Not sure who that is, but Glassy is 5-0 so far this weekend. In your picks. Woo! I read that in like a Ric Flair tone. Did you?
If you don't say woo like Ric Flair, like, are you even doing it right?
No kidding. So I guess it's time to reveal. Steve is 4-1. And like I said yesterday, there was zero chance I was picking the Bengals, even though I thought they were the better team. So I'm going to give myself like a 4.5 out of 5. Christopher is not so much.
It's okay.
Beans in the microwave to predict the winner of the big game in 3 weeks. Wasn't this a long time ago where there was the baby, or was it a dog that was like picking games and they were like undefeated?
Glassy, are you local? I remember hearing about something to do with this on our local radio station. I want to say last year, right around the time of the big game. Someone puts a can of beans in the microwave and waits, or 2 cans, I think it is, and whichever one explodes first is kind of their prediction for who's going to win the Super Bowl. And I think last year the microwave process didn't work. Yeah, exactly. And then didn't you have to put them in the fire last year?
Weird.
Something like that. Yeah. Isn't that
strange?
Small world.
Strange stuff going on here.
Strange things are happening. Glacier, I'd love to know who you think is going to make the Super Bowl this year. And so the microwave process didn't work last year, and had to throw them in a fire to get them to explode.
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
All right, let's jump right into this morning's game. I'm Bonzi's producer.
Bonzi's on the network.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just gotta figure out who that is, but I'm sure we'll figure that out. Let's jump into Tampa versus Philly here. It was our morning matchup earlier on. You picked Philly, and boy, could you be more wrong? Nope. And the funny thing is, the reasons you told me that Tampa wasn't going to win were the reasons why Tampa won. Like,
right, their run game was unreal. Their
right.
Defense stepped up huge.
Mike Evans is playing injured. Oh, he went for over 100 in a TD. That's football. That's predicting, man. Like,
and like I said, I mean,
right.
I said it was going to be an upset, right? Like, I mean, I said it knowing full well that, like, if it happens, it's an upset. The Bucs are still the favorite. So, hey, you win some, you lose some, and well, I lost quite a few this weekend.
There was just a couple points about the game. Obviously, like, that run game was on point, even with the Bucs losing Tristan Wirfs really early. I can't remember when he went out, and then he got back in the game for a play, and then it was like, no, he's done. I think they lost. Ryan Jensen was out at the end of a play, but the very next series he was in again. So the run game, not a very high average, but they were, busting out. Like, at one point, Vaughn ran, I think it was like a 17-yard, up the gut kind of idea. Obviously for me, the big one was Mike Evans. He was a monster. 9 receptions, 117 yards, a touchdown. And I don't think we can say enough about Tom Brady. We know he's the GOAT, but he's 44 years old. He's going to be 45 in the summer here. And he threw for almost 300, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he was sacked 4 times. That for me is kind of telling of how poised that guy is behind the line. Like, he had a good day, but some quarterbacks might throw the ball away or get super frustrated with the offensive line kind of letting the pressure get to him. But in typical Tom playoff fashion, he's calm, cool, collected, absolutely dominated the Eagles, and it wasn't even close. But did you see the Eagles? I can't remember when, but Devontae Smith's first catch and target was something like into the second half. Like, they just didn't use him, and they decided Jalen Reagor was going to be like, him and Quez Watkins were going to be the go-tos.
I didn't. I was preoccupied this morning. So I was at a birthday brunch this morning. So I was not so subtly trying to watch the game on my phone.
I'm not watching it. You're watching it.
Yeah, in bits and pieces. Oh no, I wasn't even hiding it. I didn't have the volume on, but I was sitting there like just staring at my phone. So clearly something was up, but nobody called me out on it. My wife, I'm sure, knew what I was doing as well. But I mean, hey, if anyone says anything, it's research for the podcast, guys. It's research for the podcast.
You got to do your job, right?
Yeah. So Glassy says he has he's going with Tampa Bay and either Cincinnati or Kansas City for the big game this year. And he says Cincy is on a roll, which I couldn't agree more. I mean, we were talking about it. I mean, Steve just mentioned it. I mentioned it last night as well. They're the new kids on the block, and they kind of have that, like, I don't know, like, we have nothing to lose mentality. Like, we're young, we're probably gonna get more opportunities. Like, let's just like go ball out and do our thing right now. I don't know. They definitely do. I know, like I was saying, I know Christian doesn't want, but she has no choice now because they are playing each other. It's going to be Tennessee and Cincinnati, and I know Christian doesn't want that.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like, they have nothing to lose at this point. Like, they got that huge monkey off their back. They're playing with house money right now.
Totally.
It's so they get to play, fast, free, loose, like everything that they've got the momentum coming in from the regular season. They exercise that demon of 31 years. The city is just amped behind them, and yeah, you know what? I would not be surprised if they dusted off another week and kept rolling. I mean, I still don't see them as a Super Bowl favorite versus some of these veteran teams. Like, I think if they go and play Kansas City, I think Kansas City beats up on them. But I don't think it would be unheard of to have Cincy upset one of those big giants.
I would love to see that rematch, though. Kansas City and Cincinnati. That would be a super fun rematch. But like you said, they're playing with house money. Nobody expects them to win, so they're just doing their thing. And I don't know, it's fun to see. But
yeah,
I do need the Titans to win next week to not totally bust my bracket that's already in shambles.
Yeah, your bracket's just hanging on by your Super Bowl prediction, and that's
it. But the little bit that I did see on my phone while I was watching that game at brunch this morning was at one point, I want to say in like the third quarter, the camera kind of zoomed in on Jalen Hurts, and like he just looked defeated. Like, he looked like this game's over. Like, why are we here? My receivers can't catch the ball. Devontae, I assume Tampa Bay must have been doubling Devontae Smith with a corner and Jamel Dean high.
Just the way Tampa was bringing pressure, like, they made Jalen Hurts miss some like wide open opportunities. There was one Devontae Smith, the DB was playing like 10 yards off coverage on the left-hand side, and Devontae Smith comes on this drag route across the right, but the pressure's coming from the right-hand side. So he immediately goes to the left and just never looks off or looks Devontae Smith's way. So, yeah, it missed opportunities, right?
Big time.
Money on Cincy over KC at that point. I love that. I love the bold takes. Chris, your bold take of the Cowboys. We'll get to that in a minute, but I do love those bold takes where it's like, I'm picking Green Bay. That's not really that bold of a take, but I do think they are going to win the Super Bowl. Actually, you know what? Let's get right into it. Probably the game of the day, in my opinion, anyways. We had the 49ers going to Jerry's World, the $1 billion stadium that was built west-east facing, like they said on the program. Sun's in their eyes. And the Cowboys just sucked for most of it. Like they literally pulled out a close game when they had no business.
And the only reason it was close is because Jimmy threw an interception, at least one interception kind of later there that led to the Cowboys bringing it within a touchdown. Like otherwise, the Cowboys were awful today.
Yeah, I tweeted that out. I have a lot of fun making fun of Mike McCarthy, not as much as Matt Nagy, but I do have fun making fun of Mike McCarthy, and I just don't think he's that good of a coach. And I said that yesterday on our preview show, and I was tweeting it out today. If it wasn't for, the Jimmy G interception, the game gets blown wide open and they don't get a chance. Like, I think there was like 8 minutes left, 8 or 9 minutes left in the fourth. And your team's down by 16 and you kick a field goal, which makes it a 13-point game, which if you're anything to do with math, I'm not a very, strong math person because apparently I don't teach it. That's still 2 scores. Like, I don't understand what goes on in your head and I think I tweeted out something about he's just stuck in this old man mentality, the old NFL guard where it's like, you take the points when they get there. Well, actually, dummy, you don't take the points when you get there. Like, if you would have went for it, and obviously this is all predicated on actually making the play and, when you go for it, then you're probably in like field goal range at the end, and you might be taking this game into overtime. So I hate coaches who are reserved. I hate coaches who, are scared to go for it. So I'm super happy he's out. One of the things that I think set the tone for this entire game was that opening. Did you watch the whole game? Watch the opening drive?
No, I missed the opening drive. I was still at the grocery store.
So the 49ers, I tweeted out, 49ers absolutely carved up the Cowboys. The Cowboys could only get the 49ers into second down once. Wow. Every other play was for a first down until they punched it in. So I think the one they stopped them on was like a 1-yard rush or something like that. But then they got the first down on the very next one. You saw that and you're like, oh, we're going to have another blowout of a game. And to be honest, it felt like a blowout. Like it really did feel like a blowout with like a wild ending where it was like, oh my gosh, are the 49ers actually going to blow it? Like, is Jimmy G going to do Jimmy G things and just give this game away? And he almost did.
Well, I was going to make a joke, like, the NFL is calling this the super wild card weekend. And I'm like, it hasn't been that super at all because it's been a lot of ass kickings.
Yeah.
Like even the Raiders, tried to make an exciting finish of that one yesterday, but even that one didn't feel like a close game. The score made it look like it was a close game, but it didn't feel as close as it finished. And I agree, Glassy. The Cowboys are overrated, and they've been overrated for years. The Raiders definitely have a bright future. I think they need to stick with Derek Carr personally. I don't know why everyone likes to crap on Derek Carr so much. And that coach, I'm not going to say his name because I'll mispronounce it, but the guy that they have as their interim head coach right now, they need to remove the interim tag and hire that guy full time. I think he did a great job in a crappy situation. Did the best with what he, the cards that he was dealt, and brought that team into the playoffs. And there was a thing I saw on Twitter today of him in the hotel writing handwritten letters to every single player on that roster, which is super cool. You don't see a lot of stuff like that. So
yeah, I obviously, I saw that because I commented on it. I'm pretty sure his name's pronounced Rich Bisaccia.
Sure.
Because I would assume it's Italian. And my comment on that was like, that is what leadership looks like. In a season where you had a scandal with your head coach who, left because of it, in a year where you had Damon Arnett got arrested and cut for his drinking and driving, I think it was, or
no, Damon Arnett for the video on Instagram of him
right
holding guns and I think he was uttering death threats or something like that.
Right. And then obviously with Henry Ruggs in, him being under the influence and killing somebody in a car crash, all of those things could have derailed the season. And it's clear that, a season where you should not have made the playoffs with all those distractions, you got the guys to rally around you. And that's for sure what leadership looks like. And you tweeted out, it's time for the Raiders to remove the interim from his title and just make this guy a coach. And I agree. Like, give this guy a full off season with the crew. Let him make his decisions for who his OC, his DC, and his whole crew. And let's see what he has. Like, he's earned that shot. Yeah, he's earned the shot. I completely agree with you, Chris. Sorry, let's
I'm trying to multitask.
You're I was like, what is Chris doing? He is running the YouTube Ball Hawks. He's commenting on our own stuff.
Yeah, I'm replying to Glassy there. Just trying to, like I said, trying to multitask. A couple of things I want to talk about from that Cowboys 49ers game is
penalties.
Penalties. Jesus. No, the what was it? Third down play that led to everyone initially the Niners got given the first down, and then it was remarked and remeasured, and it was actually fourth down, and then they got a false start and blah 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 blah. Anyways, how did the Cowboys not see that the Niners are going to give the ball to Deebo Samuel? Like, is it not like at late in the game, put the ball in your best player's hands?
Yeah.
Like, that's what everybody says.
Yeah.
And the Niners did exactly that, and the Cowboys still couldn't freaking stop it. I mean, they just barely stopped it. I mean, even then, I would say they didn't. Deebo just, his knee happened to hit a fraction too soon.
Yeah.
It's like, God, I hate that Deebo plays for the 49ers. He's so much fun to watch, but having to play him twice a year sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like what, I have to deal with Jamar Chase, right? It's a young receiver who is dynamic and really dominates competition from obviously someone who doesn't have to deal with the rivalry. I love watching Deebo Samuel play. I've heard him on a few, podcasts where he's appeared and talked with people, and he's got the demeanor of a football player that you want. Like I think they were talking about like, who likes to hit harder? Who likes more contact? You or Kittle? And he's like, well, me. Like he's got that like, I'm the alpha mentality. Like it was no disrespect to Kittle or anything like that, but he's like, when I see DBs coming up on me, I'm smiling through my cage because I can't wait to destroy them. And it's just, that's the kind of fighter you want on your team. And he can just do everything. Like, he's a threat to run. He's a threat to catch. He's a threat to block when he's out there blocking. Like, he is the most complete receiver I think the NFL maybe has ever seen in terms of all the tools he has in that toolbox.
So I saw you and Marquise talking about this backyard football, 7-on-7.
Right.
one person was like, I would take Deebo Samuel, and you and Marquise, being the homers that you are, were like, no way, I want Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I do lean a little bit toward, and here's why. I do lean a little more towards Deebo. I mean, he threw a touchdown pass a couple weeks ago. I didn't see the clip, so I don't know how good of a throw it actually was. He can run. He can run through guys, and we know he can catch. So that's the one thing with Lamar.
It's true.
Can Lamar catch? We don't know. I'm sure he can. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete, and I'm sure he can.
Probably not at an NFL. Like, let's be realistic. Yeah. Not at an NFL level. We're talking about Deebo and Lamar are doing these things at an NFL level, right?
Mm-hmm.
My thing with that, so I agree. Like, when I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Deebo would be very high on my list of players to take because, he's just the Swiss Army knife. He does everything at an elite level. But exactly like what you said, Deebo cannot throw the ball like Lamar can. I'm sorry, he can't. When receivers are throwing balls, like Jarvis Landry is a good example. Julian Edelman's another good example of receivers who played quarterback in college, and they can throw a spiral. They can hit guys on the run. They cannot play quarterback at Lamar Jackson's level. Yeah. I will take a guy that can throw for over 400 yards in a game over a guy that can catch for 200, I guess. That would be the trade-off, right? Like, we know Deebo can catch at an elite level. I'm going to take Lamar's running with his passing over Deebo's running and his catching. That's just where I was with that. But it's a really interesting debate. Like, you could even start putting guys like Josh Allen in there who, runs like a train, can also throw like a train. The NFL is at a very exciting time right now where you've got these guys that can do like everything. I wouldn't take Lamar if the milk was free. Let's be honest.
I'm not quite sure what that means, but I don't think it's good for Lamar.
No, I think
but like it would be a fun exercise to do, is like sit down and make like a 7 on, like, you do 7, I do, like, like a guy like Alvin Kamara would be a fun guy to include. Jarvis Landry, like you just said, because he is a guy that can throw the ball a little bit, right? That would be a really fun exercise to do. Maybe something that we can sit down and do to create some off-season content once
maybe after Super Bowl or something like that. We'll have a little. Maybe we'll have Glassy on. He can join in on the 7-on-7. Maybe we'll get Marquise on as well. We'll have a 4-person pod, and we'll unveil our 7-on-7 teams and put it to a poll for Twitter to see who would dominate.
You have to do it draft style.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. We could do a live draft. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Let's chalk that one up in the books.
I was going to say, jot that down in your fancy podcast book there.
Mental notes. That's all I'm good for.
We both know we're going to forget.
Yeah. Probably not. I'm pretty good. I have a good memory. Last game just happened. Pittsburgh comes to Kansas City. Ben's final ride. Yada, yada, yada. I'm so tired of hearing that guy. Just give me the spotlight. I want the attention. You were trying to look before we came on air here to see if this was going to be, Ben's official retirement. What did he say after? And I was like, I guarantee you he's going to do what Ben has always done. Ben is going to do Ben things and say, well, I'm not going to come to any decisions now. We're going to take some time to think about this. We won't make any decisions. And he's going to come back next year. Here's a guy who just loves the attention. Ben loves attention. Someone tweeted it out. Is Ben actually retiring? And I quickly jumped on that and said, nope, because he's Ben. So I would put money on that one that he's not retiring, because he just can't help himself. He literally cannot help himself.
I think he's done.
You do?
I do. Just his last game in Pittsburgh, his last regular season game against Baltimore, just his like, was it the last game against Baltimore? He wouldn't even take off his helmet for the interview. Like he was just
because he was crying on.
Emotional, right? So I think this is it. Good riddance.
We've seen this from we as in Ravens fans have seen this from Ben though. Like, oh my god, last year it was the loss in Hines, and he was crying on the bench, and you could see the big tears in his red eyes. And then he got Pouncey to sit beside him, and Pouncey was crying, and they cried on the bench for a while, and it was like,
they had a little cuddle.
Yeah, this is for sure Ben's retirement. That's why he's so emotional. No, Ben loves the spotlight. Ben loves the attention. It's always about him. And I am so happy that he just sucked today. I know his stats are 215, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. But going into the fourth quarter, he didn't even have 100 yards passing. These are all inflated stats.
Garbage time.
He sucked. He was awful. They were giving him the dink and dunks underneath in the garbage time, and that's how he got those passes off to, I think his long today was 22 yards. Like, he was just, his arms cooked, man. He's done. Ben's done. I don't care if he comes back next year. Like, the Steelers have swept the Ravens the last 2 years in a row, so obviously they're doing something better than the Ravens are. I'll give them props on that, but it's not because of Ben Roethlisberger. It's because they have phenomenal receivers. They've got a guy named Najee Harris. Tight end Pat there is a pretty decent football player, but
there's a little unknown defender named TJ Watt that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about their offense because of the Ben identity. Their defense is loaded. I hate it. I hate that they have TJ Watt. I hate that they have Minkah Fitzpatrick. Their defense is loaded with star quality players. So, do I think it's Ben's last game? No, absolutely not. Until he says I'm retired, and even then, I could see Ben coming back. I could see Ben coming back out of retirement to save the day because Ben wants to be the talk of everything.
Yes, Glassy, this is a primarily Ravens and Seahawks podcast, but it's playoff season, so we have nothing to talk about. So we're talking about everyone else instead.
Yeah, that's what.
How much we hate everything.
That's right.
I guess we both know I hate Ben Roethlisberger, but I guess I could understand why he wants to be the center of attention because he's always kind of been like the forgotten quarterback, right? Like it's always been like everyone's talking about Peyton and Eli and
that's
Tom Brady and Drew. Oh, absolutely, I agree. But like he's always like, he has as many Super Bowls as Eli.
He's successful. Look, he is a damn good quarterback. He's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He played in an era where there were a bunch of better quarterbacks than him. Whether it was Breeze or Manning or Brady or other Manning, or, I'd even put Phillip Rivers over him.
One of my all-time favorite, questioning Steve on everything life right now. One of my all-time favorite Roethlisberger clips, though. I'm sure you've seen it as well. I don't have it loaded or anything like that, but it's like from training camp or practice or something like that. And they show like a young quarterback running through the drill first and they're throwing like blocking pads at him. And he's like in the pocket, avoiding the pads or whatever. And then like Ben goes and does the drill and he stands in the pocket and he just like bats the pads out of the air. Like, I'm not moving out of the way of these. Yeah. Like that clip always gave me a good laugh. So.
I mean, that's how he played his career too, right? Like that's what made Ben so good, was impossible to take him down like that.
I think I heard Chris Collinsworth say right before I turned the game off, was like, he's like tackling a skyscraper.
Something tells me that Glassy here might be a Steelers fan. Just a hunch, like just a slight hunch that we might have a Steelers fan here. So, so Kansas City dominated this game. Mahomes doing old, Super Bowl winning Mahomes things. He threw for over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. And that's only because he let Kelsey have that last touchdown pass, or else it would have been 6. 30 for 39. I didn't see his interception. Was that later in the game.
I didn't see it either.
Okay. But the game started off very not how I wanted it to, right? Like, you know, it looked like it was going to be a classic KC struggles on offense, like not their identity kind of game. No team could really move it past the other team's 40-yard line. And then there's a handoff that gets bobbled. TJ Watt scoops and runs it down for 6. And I'm thinking, is this serious? Like, is this for real? Like, this would be the most 2021, 2022 thing of all time. If somehow TJ Watt and Ben Roethlisberger decide to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they're like the favorites, and all because of Ben's last ride. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, just don't. Please, football gods, do not let this happen to me today. Like, I cannot handle this.
I referenced Patrick Mahomes to be the Undertaker in our write-up, and you just referenced Ben Roethlisberger to be the Undertaker with the last ride. Now I'm just confused.
Well, I mean, he didn't do it. He's not the Undertaker.
Is the Chiefs' offense, though, like finally waking up at the right time of the year? Like they put up, how many did they put up against Cincinnati? It was like 34 points or something like that.
Yeah.
They put up 42 on Pittsburgh today against it, like you just said, against a good Pittsburgh defense. Mahomes threw for just over 400. Jerick McKinnon was apparently the key to get that offense like off the ground with 142 all-purpose yards and a receiving touchdown. Who saw that coming with Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the game and not having anything even close to resembling a game like that this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Chiefs are rolling at, depending on what side of the fence you're on, the wrong time of the year for a lot of teams in the AFC.
Yeah, totally. The only way I'm kind of seeing KC get slowed down is their offensive line. I know it's better than it was last year. The Super Bowl kind of exposed that offensive line. They went and got Joe Tooney. They drafted Creed Humphrey. They got Orlando Brown Jr. They kind of redid that line quickly on the fly, and props to them. They definitely upgraded it quite a bit. But there was many times where, and I hate to say it because he's a super likable guy, Orlando Brown Jr. was getting dominated on the edges. Like the defender was in the backfield before Orlando Brown could even like turn his hips over. So good for Mahomes. I think it really just shows that he's back to his old form. Glassy saying, since he will beat KC, book it. There you go. That could be a take for sure.
The beans told him.
The beans have told you that it's gonna happen. Other than the slow start, I think that game kind of went the way most people expected it to. Wild card weekend is almost in the books. We've got one more game tomorrow. A real good one for Chris to have to watch. Cardinals, Rams.
Can they just play forever and eventually the NFL just says, you know what, you guys both suck, and just like eliminate both teams? Vince McMahon comes or Roger Goodell comes strolling out Vince McMahon style, like no chance in hell is over, and he goes over the microphone for the whole stadium. He goes, Arizona, LA, you're fired, and like they're both done. They have to go home, and like he like puts all the other teams, like even the non-playoff teams, like puts them all on ping pong balls into like a raffle, and like that team gets to take their spot. Oh man, let's do that.
You know how many times that's happened over the years? In the last 10 years, obviously, when Cincy had Andy Dalton and they had their team, and the three teams would be making, the three AFC North teams would be making the playoffs, and Cincy would play Pittsburgh, and I'm like, can both teams just lose? Like, can they just beat each other up so bad that they don't want to play? Or like, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, what was that last year? Can they just both, can we award 2 losses when you're watching 2 rivals?
Like Bane
I'm
in
excited to watch it.
like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, and he just blows the stadium up. To hell with your football game.
That's so funny. You have any last things here on KC Pittsburgh before we jump into third down?
Like I said, Ben Roethlisberger, good riddance.
Deuces. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
I would give you the one finger salute, but this is a family show.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm being literally, you know me, Chris. I am being as PG as I possibly can be here. I'm all fired up. So I'm ready for third down if you're ready for it, Chris.
Let's do it. This week's third down is, of course, presented by Bad Tattoo Brewing. If you're like Steve and I, you love quality beer, and that's what Bad Tattoo Brewing provides. High quality craft beer made with only the finest ingredients, and each brew is perfected before being released. Go sign up for the Bad Tattoo Beer Club and have these beers delivered right to your doorstep from Bona Vista to Vancouver Island. That's right, all across Canada. Go sign up today at badtattoobrewing.com. And I believe their latest release was the Winter Mix Pack. I'd have to jump online to see if that's still available. But get the chocolate peanut butter porter if it's still there. Get the oat milk stout if it's still there. The coffee lager from Counterflow, that's one that I want to try for sure. Dry January is killing me with Bad Tattoo coming out with all these delicious sounding beers. And I'm like, God damn it, you guys, why? I mean, I guess I could buy them and just put them in my fridge, but that's just like...
I mean, really what it should be the other way around. They should be asking you why, not you asking them why. It should be them asking you why.
What were you thinking, Chris? It's true. It's true.
What in the
It's damn true,
Chris. Yesterday I had the hazed and confused again.
Yeah.
I'm ready for hazy IPA season now. Like that one is just so, hazy IPA usually doesn't come around until like, I don't know, maybe like June, July kind of idea. I'm just so ready for that one, to be there. So it's nice to get a good quality hazy IPA at this time. While you were talking, I was just checking to see when that coffee lager is coming out. It says it's coming soon on their website. It does say December. So maybe we'll have to make our way down there and you can break your dry January and we can have a coffee lager from their sister company, Counterflow Brewing.
There are a few playoff games remaining, guys. I would love to meet up with some of you down at... I will break dry January to meet up with some of our listeners at Bad Tattoo in Kelowna. So if you guys want to meet up for a beer and some pizza at Bad Tattoo in Kelowna, hit us up in the DMs and I will break dry January.
You know what? I take Chris, check your Twitter DMs right first comment. You know what, Chris? I take back a lot of the bad things I say about you. That's a real move right there. That's what some might call God's work right there.
It's God's plan.
That's God's plan for you to break dry January. I agree.
Anyways, this week for the third down, like I said, presented by Bad Tattoo Brewing in Kelowna. Steve, I was texting you earlier today asking if you were watching the Cowboys 49ers game on the Nickelodeon feed. And for anyone that wasn't, you missed out. It's a lot of fun. Every time a point is scored, they put these fake slime cannons shooting slime into the air on the field. Every time a PAT or a field goal is kicked, they had either Spongebob Squarepants or Patrick Starfish in between the upright goalposts. And like, it was kind of funny because like SpongeBob was making like a questioning, like, are you going to make this kick face? And then if you made the kick, his face changed to like a smiling happy face. So that was a lot of fun. They kept like showing like slime monsters like on the field. At one point, they had a Nickelodeon blimp fly over all the players and drop slime all over the field. And like the people doing like the color commentary, like, oh, where'd the players go? And like Ninja Turtles were like popping up out of the ground, eating pizza. It was a lot of fun. My 4-year-old son and my 7-year-old daughter absolutely loved it. They thought it was hilarious. So with that, it got me thinking. I'm like, man, Nickelodeon, like we never got Nickelodeon in Canada, but like we got a lot of their shows. And I'm like, what were some of their like top shows? So for this week, for the third down, I thought let's pair some of those shows up head to head. I mean, you don't watch movies, but hopefully you watch TV. Steve, for the Nickelodeon showdown, third down, are you ready?
I am ready. Before we start, though, I am going to say that I didn't watch the Nickelodeon feed. My kids were up having their own quiet time. But I love the idea of making football at an early age kind of accessible for kids that don't really watch football. And it's like, oh, SpongeBob is on there. And oh, what's all this slime going on? Like, it gets them into the game. And I love that idea. Imagine Nickelodeon like partnered with the NFL to like make things actually holograms appear in between the uprights when they're kicking. Like it actually showed that in the stadium. That would be so hilarious, like an added layer of difficulty for your kickers.
I was gonna say, like, don't you like that's got to be like competitive? Although I guess, I mean, if you're doing it to both teams, there is no like worries about competitive balance. But for sure, that would be super distracting. But I know anything to make the Nickelodeon experience a bit better. I loved the Nickelodeon game. Like the first down marker was like kind of like different, and like they kept doing like all these fun. They showed a flashback clip of the Dwight Clark the catch from like what was it, 1981 or whatever it was, and even on that they like put like vintage style looking slime cannons in. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I know I was talking to my uncle and Christian and some of their buddies, and I know Christian turned it on for a bit and he was watching it and had fun watching it. So
that's so funny.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this thing.
All right, let's do it. So the first matchup, we have the aforementioned Spongebob Squarepants versus Paw Patrol. So little more couple newer shows. I mean, SpongeBob was around when we were younger, but I would still say it was one of those ones that kind of came around when we were maybe felt we were a little too old for cartoons and didn't really watch it as much as we would have had it come out when we were like, say, 7 or 8.
Well, this is going to be an easy one for me. Never watched SpongeBob in my life. I'm putting it out there. I've never seen I know who SpongeBob is, and some of my students always try and tell me about SpongeBob to like get me up to speed. It sounds like a good show. I'm a big Paw Patrol fan. When they bring the live shows to, I think it was in Penticton, maybe 3 years ago. The kids were old enough that we got to take them to that, and that was really fun, like the live theater kind of version of it. So Paw Patrol is on a roll, and they are my pick.
You're pup ready to pick Paw Patrol.
Awesome answer. There's so many good puns with that. There's actually my kids have a book, a Paw Patrol book, and it's all paw puns the whole time.
Oh, really?
Like I'm the pun. I love puns. I overuse puns like to death, especially when I'm teaching. I got through like 2 pages of that, and I'm like, I can't do it. I'm out of here. I made Alyssa read the rest of the story to the kids. Like it was literally everything was like, oh, pawtacular. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like,
isn't that the whole premise of the show is like dog, like puns?
Yeah.
Like that's the whole premise of the show is animal puns,
but it's not to this degree. Maybe I'll send it your way. And
you probably just don't notice it as much because you're not reading it and having to actually say the words yourself, right?
Maybe, possibly.
Chase must not have been on the case for that one.
Possibly.
Hey, Steve, your dad is showing.
I know. All on these shoulders.
Oh, man. All right, let's get to the next matchup. I'm sure you've seen the rest of these shows. The next matchup, we have Rugrats versus that football head, Hey Arnold. Which I'm surprised that, actually, now that I say that, why does Nickelodeon not include Hey Arnold in their football broadcast? Like, his nickname, like, he was called Football Head. Hey, Football Head.
Right. It would only make too much sense, right?
Right.
With that being said, a lot of Nickelodeon heads do resemble footballs. Like now that I'm kind of thinking of it, like Dora's very like football-esque. The Rugrats had very oblong kind of to the side heads. I watched a little bit of Hey Arnold. He seemed very weird to me. I don't know why I could never get into this as a child slash early adolescent. But I did watch a lot of Rugrats. That one came out in the early 90s, I think. Or
Sounds about right.
Mid 90s, maybe. Um,
It came out right in our wheelhouse of cartoon watching.
Yeah. And one of the things that always fascinated me with Rugrats was kind of like how Family Guy played off of that, where, Stewie could speak to some people, but could they understand him? And could they understand the Rugrats? Did adults know what they were talking about, or was it just within the Rugrats that they knew about it?
See, and that's the thing. Like Angelica, I'm pretty sure could understand the babies, but the adults couldn't understand the babies.
So she was like the liaison kind of.
Yeah, because she was like the toddler. Like I want to say she was like 4 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
She could talk to the babies, but the babies couldn't talk to the adults.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, I just really like the name Tommy Pickles. Like that's what a great accessible name for kids.
And his brother Dill.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about the little baby brother.
Don't forget the twins, Phil and Lil.
Phil and Lil. They like have the same like smoker raspy voice, and we all just like accepted that toddlers like were smoking packs back in the day. What's wrong with Phil and Lil? They just out chuffing a dot, bruh.
Why do Phil and Lil sound like Marge Simpson's sisters?
Oh my goodness.
Man, that is one show that I would love to see pop up on some sort of streaming service to rewatch with my kids. I think they would really get a kick out of that one.
Yeah, maybe while you're doing this, I'll see where they're on.
I actually just bought my son Carter this year around Christmas time. We bought him like a Christmas themed shirt with Reptar on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw it and I'm like, oh, I have to get that. It was from like Old Navy or something like that. And it's so funny because like Nadine just thought it was a dinosaur. I'm like, no, that's Reptar. What? I'm like, Rugrats? Like
Reptar?
Come on, child, please.
It looks like Amazon Prime and Apple TV might have it by the looks of it.
I have an Amazon Prime.
Well, you might have to look that up.
Let's pause the third down. This is very important, guys.
I'm done. I can't concentrate anymore.
We both know I can't multitask. Oh, no, okay. It's just subscribe. Anyways, next matchup, we have Doug versus Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Ooh.
Which, for us, we grew up with Are You Afraid of the Dark on YTV, which actually, Are You Afraid of the Dark is a Canadian show, and it was produced by YTV. And then I think Nick picked up the American rights for it.
Really?
Yeah. That's a Canadian show.
You know so many weird things.
I know everything about nothing.
This one is really tough. I would say these are probably two of the maybe more popular one. Maybe it's hard for me to say that because just because I watched it didn't mean it was, the more popular one by any means. I really like the Are You Afraid of the Dark videos. But I think I have the other problem with this when you're bringing it back to like the early 90s, late 90s is I can't even really remember what I ate for breakfast today, let alone like what the shows were about. But I'm going to give this one to Doug because of the character names. You had, what was it, like Skeeter, and his real name was Mosquito, or Patty Mayonnaise, Patty Mayonnaise. Such weird character names, but that was kind of the show in a nutshell. It was very like odd, weird. I do like easy to watch kind of cartoons, so I would go with Doug on that one. That's a tough one. That's a really close matchup for me.
Yeah, I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'm pretty sure Ryan Gosling was on that at one point in time too. I'd have to go back and look
Introing
into
his
that.
career.
But yeah, I mean, again, Canadian ties, Steve.
That's right.
If you want to rewatch Doug's it's a bit of a hard rewatch. I tried watching a couple episodes
Is it?
on Disney Plus with the kids. Um, I don't know. I'll have to give it a shot again, but it was a bit of a more difficult rewatch than I realized. Yeah.
Really? What
Hashtag
if it
download.
yeah, if you could describe why it was such a hard rewatch, what would be the one thing?
It was like
The oddness of it?
a lot. Yeah, it was a lot more like a lot slower moving than I remembered.
Okay. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
it being more fast paced.
yeah, and like nothing
Interesting.
really happens. But it was definitely one of my favorites as a kid. Did you ever have like an episode of You Are You Afraid of the Dark that like just totally freaked you out? Like
Oh, probably.
nightmare inducing?
Um, I would imagine, I can't remember off like the top of my head, but I would imagine like it was kind of like those early scary shows that would get you as a kid. But that's the thing about those scary shows is it's very hard to turn away from them because that's what makes them exciting. Like you want to be shocked, thrilled, scared, terrified. So
Yeah, I can still name you the exact episode that
wow,
freaked me right out. Like I did
really?
not sleep. It was called the Ghastly Grinner, and it was
Wow.
terrible. And it was like I would like to rewatch it to see how like creepy it actually is, like in today's standards. But like legit gave me nightmares. I could not sleep because of that episode. And like it came out in like 1996 or so, no, 94. So I would have been 8
Wow.
when that episode came out. And yeah, man, all these years, 27 years later, I can still remember that damn episode. For the last matchup here, we have Ren and Stimpy versus Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh, you're really testing my knowledge here. Like, um, I remember that. Remind me what Rocco's was again. I'm trying to. You're really testing me here.
Oh god, like how am I supposed to
Rocco's.
like you're gonna have to Google that. Like
I'm gonna have to. I remember watching it.
Rocco is a wallaby. He's got a pet
Oh
dog. His best friend's a
yeah.
cow named Heifer.
Yes.
Um, it was kind of like one of the like more like I get like one of the ones that we watched kind of like in our later adolescence, like kind of like preteen years probably, and it was like a little inappropriate, but like not bad, not like Ren and Stimpy where like your parents were yelling at you to turn that crap off.
Isn't it funny how like um isn't it funny like the standards of what you weren't allowed to watch? Like watching Ren and Stimpy now with your kids, it would be like, it's not that bad. Oh, so both of these I didn't watch a lot of. I think I watched more Ren and Stimpy, but so I'm gonna pick Ren and Stimpy, but there was always like the big red eyes. It kind of weirded me out. Both of the shows I remember being very um how would I say it? Like it was just kind of like very like blah in your face. Like everything was very like loud, aggressive kind of humor and talk. So this one would be like you watching Arizona and LA tomorrow. If I could make both of them lose, I probably would. So by default, I'm just picking Ren and Stimpy.
Okay. Um, sorry, I'm multitasking again.
Stop I'm right here.
um, I definitely watched a lot more Rocco's Modern Life than I did Ren and Stimpy, which I think is Rocco's Modern Life was on that like a more normal time of day. Like I want to say it was on at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whereas like I think Ren and Stimpy was typically on later at night. And like I said, my parents were typically yelling at me to turn that crap off. And
That's funny.
so like it was like trying to watch it quietly so my parents weren't like yelling at me, which is super funny because like South Park, for example, my dad actually introduced me to South Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So that's a story I'll share off air. But yeah, my dad introduced me and my brothers to South Park because he was, I'll tell it on air, whatever. He was watching South Park with his brothers when my grandmother was kind of at the end of her life. She was in hospital. So my dad was down in the Lower Mainland and spending time with his brothers. And they all started watching South Park together to kind of like lighten the mood. And my dad came home. He's like, "Oh, you guys should watch this show." And so, yeah, that's how I started watching South Park of all things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Bad
so
influences.
Yeah, right. But I couldn't watch Ren and Stimpy on my own accord. Or Beavis and Butthead. That was another one. Turn that off.
Yeah, that was an instant like unplug the TV.
Quick recap here. We have Paw Patrol, Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, and Doug. Steve, who's your MVP?
So normally I'm picking the one that, hashtag dad mode brings out of me, and that would be Paw Patrol. But I vividly remember Rugrats being like the cartoon show of my earlier childhood before I really got into Recess. That was kind of my other big one. I just loved everything about it. I loved how, looking back at it as an adult, I can't remember what the dad's name was, but he always looked like he was like hungover, and he had that like 5 o'clock shadow and in those droopy eyes where it was like, is this dude like just coming off a bender or something like that?
And now that we're dads, we totally get it.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, you got Rugrats. That makes a lot of sense. I like the character of Angelica, where it was like trying to get them in trouble, and you need a good character that you root against in a show, and you would always find yourself rooting against her. The goofiness and scaredness of Chucky. It's got to be Rugrats for me.
Yeah, so I'm just searching here. So Rugrats was created in 1991, but didn't make its Canadian debut until 1994.
Oh, okay.
Rugrats was on TV from 91 to 2006, so 15 years.
Holy.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved Rugrats as a kid. Like you said, it was kind of like one of those shows that like everybody watched and nobody was embarrassed to admit that they watched it, no matter how old we got. We're like 10 years old and like, yeah, I watched Rugrats. Rugrats is great. Like we all love this show.
It was like with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Like, yeah, you watched it as a kid, but like my entire life I've plugged that I've watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's like a badge of honor almost.
Yeah, like Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers was another one that everybody watched. Yep. I'm trying to like X-Men, Spider-Man that was on Fox Kids in like the mid 90s. Everyone watched that one as well. Super weird, like myself included. I'm not going to like exclude myself from this group, but for some reason when in grade 7, a bunch of us started watching Blues Clues and Teletubbies, like something way that like we are way too old for, but like we all kind of gravitated towards it for some reason. Isn't it funny? Like, man, like kids these days like have no idea what it was like to have to like rush home every day after school to watch these shows, or like wait every week to like we just started watching Full House with the kids, and Olivia's like, can we watch another one? Can we watch another one? Can we watch another one? I'm like, God, I'm like, you have no idea what I was telling her. I was like, when we were kids, we'd have to wait for a new episode every week. It wasn't just like watch a new one every night or watch 2 or 3 a night or like anything like
you missed it. You missed it. It wasn't like, oh, like we'll just watch it tomorrow. It's done.
Yeah.
You lost your chance, bud.
So that show for me is The OC. So everyone loved The OC. Everyone was super into The OC. Well, The OC was always on when I had lacrosse. It's like lacrosse practice or lacrosse games or something like that. Like, so I never watched The OC because it was you missed it.
Interesting.
You're SOL.
Even the kids now, like, well, I'll be watching like, I don't know, like a cooking show on my phone or something like that, and a YouTube ad or whatever, Facebook ad will pop up, and as somebody who's gone through the days of old advertising and old commercials and channel guides where you had to wait for it to scroll all the way through and then something caught your eye and you're like, oh no, I've been waiting like 5 minutes for that channel to come up and it's gone again. I respond by saying like, oh, ads are so annoying. And of course my kids are sponges, so now every time an ad comes on I hear one of them, oh, don't worry, it's just an ad, I know it's annoying. And I'm like, you don't even know, like you don't have the power or authority to say ads are annoying because you've never had to deal with them. Like, we can even skip this ad if we really wanted to. Like,
yeah. I could put the show on demand if I really wanted to, but I'm making you watch the ads.
And now we're watching the second one that has the skip button on it.
That's sorry. Right. Yeah. All right, let's have a look here. Let's bring out the chains. Let's give this a measurement. Let's see if Rugrats gets you the first down. Oh, and hold on, we're going upstairs. Okay, yeah, respot the ball. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Sounds like a football game I was watching today.
Okay, we've respotted. Okay, we're gonna pull out the chains again, and but you know what you do get instead, Steve? I'll next time I see you, slime over the head. No first down, but you're getting slimed.
Wow.
Yeah, no first down, but you're getting slimed, bud.
I mean, it's a badge of honor, really. I mean, you remember that game show where they had to go on and it was like, that's what it was.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I was like, I wonder if but no, was again that was a Canadian thing on YTV. Actually, I remember like they would do the game show and then like every time they would like cut to like a video of like people like doing competitions like outside of the studio. And I remember one time it being in Kelowna. I'm like, hey, I live there.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
All right. Man. We're I'm a little disappointed I didn't get the first down. I don't know what answer I could have gotten or given to get that first down, but I feel a lot like Deebo Samuel, and we all know that I got the first down, but we're respotting the ball because America's team needs that last chance to potentially win and move on because Jerry's probably lacing the pockets of Goodell.
Hey, don't you lump me in there with the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm lumping you right in there next to the Dallas Cowboys because you're a cheater and you're a cheater.
Don't you put that hate on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Okay, so thanks for joining us. A couple people in the comments. Appreciate you guys coming in there, adding to the conversation. If you guys maybe we'll come on for a Monday episode. That'll be a play it by ear one. Maybe we'll make it 3 days in a row.
We'll see what time I get out of work
once.
What's that?
Or maybe we'll have a life for once. Probably not, but
hey, you know what? You know what we can promise you guys is we will do a divisional round preview before the game starts.
Yeah.
Promise you that.
Yeah, and we'll recap how bad Chris's picks were and how I dominated this round because I'm super and Chris isn't. But you know what I will give you, Chris? I will give you the last words this time.
Hey, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Ball Hawks podcast. We are a part of the Dean Blundell Network. Shout out to our guy, Glassy. I agree, Glassy, Cowboys do suck. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Glassy, over on YouTube and jumping in on the comment section and chatting with us live. It's been a lot of fun. We've really enjoyed it. You guys can find us over on Twitter at ballhawks_pod. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. Follow me at Phillips Chris 12. Don't forget Steve at SS Fisher 87. And one last thing before we jump out, I just want to discuss Ryan Fitzpatrick at the Buffalo Bills New England Patriots game. This guy is still a member of the Washington football team, and he's there cheering on the Buffalo Bills with no shirt on. I just pulled up the picture for Steve.
He has a shirt on?
Yeah, he's got a sweater on, that's for sure.
Him and Ryan Hank share a lot of things in common. Athleticism is not one of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is the body of a professional athlete. Can you believe it?
Can you believe that?
And I guess, so I mean, I pulled up his picture. Steve, you're kind of obligated.
Whoa, 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 Fitzmagic, you know. That is magical. It's so funny, and I love how the fans got in on that, being like, "It's Ryan Fitzpatrick without a shirt. Let's get a shirtless picture together out in
Right?
20-degree weather."
Yeah. I love it. It's hilarious. It's so Ryan Fitzpatrick. And hey, keep doing your thing, Fitzmagic. Maybe you can go be QB2 in Buffalo and walk around the sidelines with no shirt on, a la Antonio Brown. Hey, I don't know. Do your thing. Anyways, guys, thanks again. It's been a really fun episode. And as always, guys, I'm not ending like I did last night. Go Hawks.
Peace.